This session is called It Takes a Village. Neurotech industry looks to outside help. And we have some outside helpers here. Oh, okay. We have some outside helpers here and four distinguished med tech professionals with a range of experience in neurotechnology. And in a moment, I'm going to ask each of them to give us just a brief background on their company and on their personal background. But we have with us, we have Velentium from imec, we have Garrett from Velentium Medical, we have Rob Crawford from MST, and we have Ashish from Cirtec Medical, I think in that order. We're going to have a panel discussion in a moment, but to begin, I'd like to ask each of you to just give a brief overview of your firm. Garrett, do you want to start?
Yeah, so my name is Garrett Schumacher. I'm the Business Unit Director of Product Security at Velentium Medical. We are a contract development and manufacturing organization with 4 business units: manufacturing, product development, cybersecurity, and automated test systems. So obviously I run the product security division. So we either work with the internal teams to make sure everything Velentium is doing is up to speed, up in is kosher, or we also offer our services externally directly to manufacturers. Do you want me to go through all the slides?
Well, you only have a few, but it's up to you.
Okay, yeah. This is our total product lifecycle security process. So just a humanized, simple way of seeing everything you have to do pre-market, post-market for global compliance for cybersecurity. It's still, I'm sometimes surprised at how surprised other people are of everything they have to do. So this is what we do every day, is help people do these things, produce the right documentation for submission, and actually perform the activities, either as consultants, guides, or a fully outsourced security division.
Great, thanks, Garrett. All right, Bogdan, do you want to tell us a little bit about imec?
Yes, my name is Vojkan Mihajlovic, so I'm a principal researcher at imec side. Well, we are a bit of an outsider, and but I want to thank the organizers for inviting us and giving us the MVP for the non-profit contribution in the neurotech space. So just a few words on the imec side in terms of the activities that we have towards selective peripheral nerve stimulation and trying to at least help in the domain of closed loop neuromodulation activities. We heard a talk this morning from David from Medtronic looking at this as a future opportunities. And in our development, well, you can just briefly, quickly go to the slides, but we are trying to, let's say, change the status in terms of having, let's say, selective stimulation starting from what exists in the market in terms of, let's say, standard development of stimulation using cuff electrodes, rings around the peripheral nerves, which deliver square pulses. By using, let's say, these standard methods, you can achieve certain type of activation of target fibers within the vagus nerve or within the peripheral nerves. But then by targeting those relevant fibers, you also get an activation of non-target fibers. So that's what you kind of see here illustrated in here. So you have a certain, let's say, parts that you can play with. Maybe if you stay on this slide, on the previous one, I'll just explain a bit. Can you go to the previous slide? Yes. No, yes, this one. So we introduced a method earlier this year, which is called intermittent interferential current stimulation, which is a method that delivers the stimulation using extremely high frequencies in the orders of tens of kilohertz. And by superimposing these, let's say, frequencies with a slight difference in the order of kilohertz domain, we're able to steer basically the activation and non-activation of the fibers within the nerve, such that we can achieve basically the same effect in terms of the target fiber activation, but we can reduce the side effects. So this gives an interesting venue towards that, let's say, better efficacy of the treatments. And that's something that we introduced on the methodological side together with Feinstein Institute, where we did experiments in large animals. And on the other hand, besides, let's say, doing experimental work, we also developed technology. That's our kind of core contribution in the field. So if you go to the next slide, this is kind of showing one of the latest integrated circuit developments that support the delivery of interferential current stimulation with certain features in terms of the compliance voltage, high compliance voltage, and high current stimulation features of the ASIC. And as a next step, we also put this in a form factor of a kind of a benchtop system, which is on the next slide, that is able, let's say, to be used for kind of a preclinical studies that we can deliver to potential customers and partners, academic researchers who want to explore this novel method in the application space that they have. And though we kind of went quite some way towards making this, let's say, the fully fledged technology to be able to integrate in an implant, we are still far away from the implant form factor, because there are a lot of, let's say, aspects that still need to be developed to be able to, let's say, treat humans with such kind of method, starting basically from the design of the multi-contact cuff electrode is one of the challenges, but then also putting in an implant form factor, not only the stimulation engine, but also the readout engine with potentially compression and data processing, and on top the communication and the powering. So just illustrated on this slide, few examples of the technology that needs to be developed towards first in human and human use. And of course, at ImEC side, we can only contribute with the certain technology building blocks, but then we rely on OEMs and partners to help us in terms of maturing and bringing this technology to the final application.
Thank you. Okay. And do you object to us sharing your slides with the attendees? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
I assume, is that okay with the rest of you as well? Super. We'll have copies of the slides then up on the server, if not tonight, then tomorrow, so that you can download them. All right. Now, next, we have Rob Crawford from MST. Rob, do you want to tell us a little bit about MST?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Thank you, everybody, for having us. I don't remember how many years we've been involved with the Neurotech Leaders Forum, but it's been a long time. Many of you remember Peter Putnam, our longtime sales manager. He's retired now as of June, but he says hello to everybody because he knows probably everybody here, if I had to guess right. So,
and please tell Peter that we finished that 20-year bottle five years ago that he provided.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I wish we still had some, but fortunately, Will came through with some bourbon.
We have a new one for tonight, so thanks, Jim. We appreciate that in advance. Yeah, so Rob Crawford, Senior Director of Sales and Marketing for MST. I'm really an ops and supply chain guy, but somebody roped me into managing the sales team a few years ago, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, MST, Microsystems Technologies, we're the vertically integrated manufacturing arm, one more click, please, of Biotronic. The German pacemaker and a defibrillator and now neurostimulator company. And our roots as MST, we're really making components, miniaturized medical microelectronics. I say that 3 times fast. And yeah, that's really where we started. Printed circuit board assembly, primary cell batteries, feed-throughs, semiconductor packaging. And now recently, our owner has basically allowed us to start to offer the Biotronic platforms for use by other people, including our newest platform that you see there with the coil and the header, our Prospera neurostimulator that's primarily for spinal cord stimulation in our market, but we're now offering it for other people. So next slide. So yeah, our sites are one in Oregon, where I'm at, and then 3 other sites in Germany, in Dresden, Nuremberg, and then in between Nuremberg and Dresden. And then also we're utilizing our Biotronic device assembly in Berlin. And then we also make primarily CRM leads in Singapore. Next slide. So yeah, so on the assembly side, again, really this is in Oregon primarily. Our focus since 1979 has been making electronics for medical microelectronics. Over close to 6 million devices built up over the years, about 400 designs. And I like to tell people we're a restaurant, we make pizzas, we make artisan pizzas, not just any kind. We make artisan pizzas. This is what we do, is medical microelectronics, class 3 implantable stuff. And so neat factory. In fact, invite all of you up to see it at some point if you'd like to see it. It really shows well. Tremendous amount of automation, including the data capture. And really, we've got a good name in the industry. We've had the good luck, I would say, to grow with some very well-known names in this industry. So next slide, please. So yeah, so our platforms. So now we've started offering in the last couple of years, really because small companies started calling us and say, hey, you've got this Prospera neurostimulator. Could we use it? And we're like, well, gee, I don't know. I guess so. And so so now we are. So that's I'd like to say it was a totally strategic from the top, but really there was a need out there, and I think that's really the smartest way to go about it, that there was a need and we're starting to fill it. And so what we're offering is the ability to reuse these platforms that have been out in the market for a long time, including our regulatory records. Next slide. So yeah, and just a little bit of a feel for the things we offer up, but kind of soup to nuts, class 3 medical implantable, active implantable devices. Next slide. And here's some of the platforms themselves. You can see on the far left, the Prospera, as we call it, the MST Charge rechargeable neurostimulator. And then from the small one, which is a biomonitor for cardiac, but can be repurposed and is a good demonstrator, which you can see over here. And then 3 other CRM devices, 2 pacemakers, and an implanted defibrillator. And we really can demonstrate these for other people, but the intent is get you through that valley of death with the reuse of these platforms. Thank you.
One important question, Rob. Deep dish or thin New York style?
Thin crust.
Thin crust,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Just had to check. Okay, Ashish, would you like to tell us a little bit more about Cirtec?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Honored to I think, is it on? Yeah. Honored to share the stage with all these guys, key partners of the industry. I'm here representing Cirtec Medical. A lot of you guys probably already know Cirtec Medical. We are a design to market contract development and manufacturing organization. Got a pretty global footprint, 11 sites across US, Costa Rica, and Germany. We got several different business units, but I think the one that's most relevant to this audience is active implantables and neuromodulation devices. So I just went with one slide to keep it short and simple here. But essentially, we are the system integrators and product development and manufacturing experts. We're not everything to everyone, but we are here to provide solutions and bring all the solutions together. Over the last few years, we made some strategic acquisitions to bring in certain key technologies that allow us to service, especially the startup community, and bring things quickly to clinicals. And then from clinicals, how do we scale up quickly to get you guys into commercial and then make you successful from there on. We have a lot of vertically integrated capabilities, range from metals, machining. We do custom ASIC design. We do all design, development, manufacturing of the leads and IPGs, and very quickly building up a strong portfolio of active implantable sensing devices as well. And very importantly, we work with a lot of key partners and suppliers across the world to integrate their expertise and those specialty components, and then we develop the whole product and get the customers into manufacturing. We just added over 50,000 square feet to our Costa Rica facility, continued expansion there to service both our neuromodulation and interventional customers, again, to focus both on scale, which is miniaturization, and also on scale up. So as our customers become successful and their volumes start to go up, we're right there with the space, with the bandwidth, and the talent to scale up quickly for you guys. So thanks for having me here, and looking forward to the questions and the panel discussion.
Great. Thank you very much, each of you. Loudon, I think we can probably turn the projector off now. So let's just start with a general question. There's, as you know, we surveyed the audience yesterday. How many startups? There's quite a few startups here at a lot of early stage companies. But what would you consider the major advantages for a startup neurotech company to work with an outside firm such as yours? So why don't we have each of you give just a general answer to that question, and then we'll move into more specific issues.
Yeah, well, I think the advantages of that, especially when it comes to things, niche areas like a lot of that development or cybersecurity, these are hard skill sets to find. And so trying to take everything in-house, it can be very costly, expensive, and just not feasible. So you need partners, right? We all need partners. And you need people that have worked in the medical field before. I was just having great conversations earlier today about mistakes people have made of hiring development firms, security firms, other partners that do what they do very well, but they've never done it for medical. So especially startups to 10-person teams, you're never going to be able to fit all the expertise you need in that space, and also not burn through the money you have. So that's what we do every day, is trying to help startups and these small teams scale and be able to bring things rapidly to market by filling in skill sets that they just don't have.
Okay. Bokchan, do you want to?
Yeah, I give a bit more different perspective coming from an R&D organization.
Yep.
We're more relevant in, let's say, in the early phases of exploration towards startups and companies where, well, they are in a need of technology building blocks, which are very difficult to build in-house, let's say. But then still, given the wide competencies and the capabilities, especially in the ASIC and system design on our side, we can provide support and let's say fight fast developments of solutions for prototype and experimental work. So that's something what I also gave in the slides in terms of very quick developments towards technologies and preclinical research tools for exploring for academia, but then also for the startups and industry market.
Okay, thank you. Rob, what do you have to say?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. The thing about this is you can't be good at everything. It's like I said, we make artisan pizzas. We don't do hamburgers. So it's the same with the startup. So this group of 4 companies up here, we all work together at some levels and each have lanes that we're really good at. And I think every company has to decide what its core competency is going to be. We're good at putting 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag and done that over and over again. And so with electronics, and so we'll run into customers where they've hired a group of engineers that have built, I don't know, desk side PCs, and there's, how hard could it be, and then it's like, well, we've done 400 of these, we can help you. So again, I think it's a matter of experts bring some expertise, and you get a better result, and you probably get there faster because you don't make mistakes and retread the same ground that other people have already experienced and can avoid. So, yeah.
And Ashish.
I think some of the points I agree with my partners here that, the speed is very important. Cash is also very important. We understand that for most startups, limited cash, very aggressive milestones, and how do we show clinical first GLP animal success, then clinical success quickly. And in doing so, how do you leverage what's already done, which is not your core technology, but enables you to get into the animals, into the clinic quickly. Rob talked about their platform. We also have a pretty comprehensive platform device, Axel Plus. You guys can get more information at our booth over there. And the whole intent behind us investing into that platform is to give you a means to go to clinicals quickly, prove out your technology, and then help develop the more elegant, miniaturized, cost-effective solution in parallel that can be more commercially scalable. So we bring that ready know-how, that infrastructure that's already built up, the quality system that's already in place, so you guys don't have to spend a lot of cash in developing all of that in-house. And hopefully we can reduce that typical 3 to 5 year timeline to 1 to 2 year timeline to get to the clinic, get data quickly, and then get to your next tranche of funding. And then hopefully it's all good from there.
Okay. All right. And Ashish, I'm going to start with you on the next question, and then we'll work the other direction. Are there synergies to be had when working with multiple suppliers, and how would you go about managing a relationship with multiple suppliers, whether it's maybe you're using, one on the software side or on cybersecurity side or power, et cetera. So what advice would you have there for startups who are bringing in maybe a team, a core of suppliers to help build their ultimate product? What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. And so I had mentioned that when I was introducing or giving an overview on Cirtec system integration and CDMO piece, right? So that's what we try to do is that when we look at product development for our customers, we try to be those system integrators where, yes, our customers maybe engage with 3, 4 different critical suppliers, but we bring a lot of knowledge of how products are developed, what are the nuances of product development. It's very hard to build a team of 20 experts. Again, cash is king,
Yes.
right? So system integration, program management, and the right technical leadership is what allows you to effectively, run through different suppliers, manage them, manage the risks, and make sure that, we're not tripping over each other, right? And that's in a loose sense. So that's where we can support. And I'll just repeat myself, systems integration and program management is key, managing those critical suppliers.
Rob?
Yeah, I think, with regards to this, the early involvement of all of these, let's say, multiple suppliers and the synergies, if you don't get the experts involved early, you could take yourself down paths that lock you into something that's, in our case, maybe not manufacturable. And so we really focus on, design for manufacturability input, design early input, because we do the engineering so that we can do volume production. That's really been our MO. And, we joke about when our customers come to us and our partners that we're going to tell them their baby is ugly and, and give them some DFM feedback. And so that's really where we have to say, be involved very early with our partners across the whole supply chain for the customers.
Yeah, good advice, Rob.
Yeah, I give it from a perspective of an R&D and the activities that we have in the domain of selective stimulation, because, well, technically we're a newbies in this field because we have been working on this topic for 4 years, at least in the team that I'm working on. And you can also consider it as a kind of a startup route that we had the last 4 years. So I think that the important part was really choosing the battles that we're going to do along the way, because the main point for us was introducing the method and the core integrated circuit technologies. Although we have competence in-house at imec, being a kind of a large R&D center, we decided to really use some of available components on the market and partners that are already experienced with developing those and providing those on the market. Like you see in the Cortec, for example, was an example, or EFI software that we use for building up the software part of the let's say prototype setup that we use. So it's really like choosing the battles and then trying to have a good relationship and moving forward with the collaborators and partners to make a concept.
Thank you. Yes. Garrett.
I really like what Rob said about, design for X. So if you're not thinking about the end state at the very beginning, a lot of mistakes can be made. A great example of that is that we have an automated test system group, and you can have the same test code in your development and verification process be then working in post-market during manufacturing. And so you can get a lot of that reuse there. So I think sometimes you can work with a partner that tries to be a one-stop shop. We try to be. And that's great because you have everything under one roof. But then all the time, you also sometimes want to de-risk that and have multiple suppliers. There's never a right or wrong way to do that. So then having suppliers that have relationships with each other and have worked together, it's really tough to come together for the first time, right? It's a lot easier to work with people that have those relationships already established. So I think that would be my recommendation. Do it early. Think about the end goal from the beginning, and make sure you're working with people that know what they're doing. Yeah.
Great. All right, I want to deviate a little bit here and maybe talk about, one of our themes here is over the last 2 days has been looking at the past for us, 25 years of publishing the Neurotech Business Report and doing this conference. For Tom, 50 years in the field of neuromodulation. We've seen a lot of changes, right? And one of the advantages that we have always talked about in our publication of neurotech therapeutic approaches vis-a-vis pharmaceutical approaches is we have on our side the benefit of Moore's Law. And Moore's Law says that every year things are going to get smaller and they're going to get more powerful and they're going to take up less space. Victor Peikoff, I don't know, Victor, are you still in the room? But he's written some pieces for us about Eroom's Law, which is the Moore's Law backwards, where in the pharmaceutical field, it's really the other way around. And so one of the arguments that we've tried to make over the years is that overly restrictive regulatory processes or even reimbursement policies that delay or defer or prevent the introduction of new neurotechnology interventions is troubling, because when a new technology is introduced, it's just the first generation. And that second generation is going to be more powerful, it's going to be smaller, and it's going to consume less energy. And then the third and the fourth and the fifth generation. The trouble is, we'll never get to that fifth or fourth or third generation unless that first generation is approved. And we can cite examples from the cochlear implant industry, right? In the early days, whether you had a couple of channels, you're not going to hear much. You might detect bells and tones and things, but you know, as you had multiple competitors getting into the market, as you had improvements in some of the signal processing, and you're getting to 22 channels or what have you, I think had there been a more receptive environment for visual neuroprosthetics, for retinal implants, we might have seen, and we still may see it. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of failures along the way, so it's been hard for the visual neuroprosthetics industry to make that leap to the second generation or the third generation. Not out of the question that it still could, but that's been a little bit more difficult, and you know, partly because of the cost of those devices. We can understand why there've been so many failures. But I'm rambling here. But what I'm getting at is that one of the things that's driving the success of our industry, one of the things that's contributed to the long-term success, is the ability to constantly be able to improve, to enhance these products, to make them smaller, to make them more powerful, to, you know, just as the cell phone industry and the computer industry, the digital camera industry really has been able, generation by generation, to improve on the density, to improve on the power use. I remember the first digital cameras, you know, big, and you had what, 300 pixels, and now just the, you know, the achievements there. So that's been to our advantage. And so my question for you is this something that you have used to your advantage? Is this something that you can advise your customers to promote during the fundraising process, during the regulatory approval process, during the reimbursement process? And is there some, you know, way that you can gauge this? So, for instance, patient surveys, is compactness of a device, is that going to contribute to their willingness to get implanted with a device? Brad Maruca from Deloitte chaired a really good session at AdvaMed a couple weeks ago on patient engagement. So things like that. So sorry for rambling here, but I'm asking, what are your thoughts, any of you, on how miniaturization, how generation to generation improvement of medical devices has contributed to this success? Anyone want to take that?
Yeah, I'll go. So my stepmother actually has an implant in her for incontinence, and she recently went from one to a totally different company, an implant, and I can tell you that size does matter. She's much more comfortable. But on what I'll get to on the technical side is, as we get smaller and smaller, energy consumption becomes, right, one of those rate limiters. Security can often be sometimes at odds with things like energy savings, usability, et cetera. But when done correctly, all of a sudden you can have really lightweight, low resource constrained systems actually adding security. And a lot of times the security benefits, like not advertising every couple milliseconds that you're here because you have Bluetooth. Doing a lot of things that also benefit security can then benefit energy consumption and then extend battery life. So I think also then anyone up here could say that, you know, a lot of lessons learned in getting a lot of things into small spaces. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I don't think I'd mentioned, but I've been with MSCI and MST since 2001, and I myself was a refugee of the computer industry, and there was some from the cell phone industry. And when we showed up in the medical device industry, we were kind of frankly shocked at, well, some of the backwards technologies that were in place. And we talked to some of these component manufacturers, and they say, well, you know, this mill standard was written in 1964, and these were the problems we were having. And so this is what we've got to do. And a few of us that are still there would just kind of shake our heads. And so I think it's very important as technology companies and helping the companies that are starting up that they get the high quality commercial components that are out there and technologies. All you have to do is open one of these or this Aura ring I'm wearing on my hand, and you can see incredibly dense technology and good quality stuff. And so I think, you know, we've got to be careful in this industry, not getting so hidebound on things like burning everything in because there was some failure in a missile in silo in 1957 and be stuck in these paradigms. So again, I think it's important that we bring in fresh blood from the leading edge technologies and keep at that. I keep thinking that, oh, we won't get any smaller, and then we add RF to everything, and then we get smaller and we get smaller, and it's going to continue that way. So yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ashish.
Yeah. So I'll go back to Jim, what you mentioned about the Moore's law.
Yes.
You know, size goes down, but I'll go back to cost. Costs can be exponentially higher in trying to make something half the size because the rest of the industry hasn't caught up yet between components and integration. To be very honest, you can put in 200 channels, but to design a micro feed through and layer stacks to actually be able to take all those 200 channels in and actually integrate into a device, okay, that might be millions of dollars worth of investment.
Yeah.
So I think now that we are dealing with a mature industry where to compete, you need to really bring a lot of technology and miniaturization and prove out that your device is smaller and more effective. When customers come to us, we try to break down the problem. What is your secret sauce, right? Where are you going to get the most bang for the buck in miniaturization? Where you have to miniaturize to stand out, to really showcase your technology, let's put the most effort there. But for Gen 1, maybe the other areas, we should probably leverage what's already out there, what's more standard, so we can keep those development costs more reasonable. And if everything goes well with that Gen 1, or maybe in parallel as more funds come, then we can start to push the envelope and put more dollars into miniaturizing some of those other areas as well. So just being smart about where we are putting in those development costs and what we are deferring, to me, I think that's the real challenge and how to navigate through that.
Thank you. Yeah, and Velentium?
Yeah, just a quick add on it. I mean, the one important aspect to consider is also, though, in many cases, having smaller and better delivery of stimulation is a good solution. I think there is also, let's say, aspects to consider with use cases and then how users see is this what they need? Is this a smaller and more efficient device, what they're looking for? Or they're looking for a change in how they interact with the device itself. So thinking about, let's say, the powering options, the charging, and how this can be optimized in different use cases. So that can introduce also different requirements that could be addressed in terms of the development of the implantable devices.
Okay, well, thank you. I'd like to see if there's any questions from the audience for our panel. All right. Well, not seeing any, I'll ask one last question of our panelists, and that would be just looking to the future. What technologies do you think we're lacking, or what technologies do you see coming down the road that's going to move us even further to the next generation of implantable neurotech devices?
Maybe I'll start, Jim. We talked about miniaturization. I think that's a big challenge. And as we make the devices smaller, try to embed them deeper and deeper into the body, right? So he talked about energy management, wireless power management, wireless communication to the devices, and then looking forward to you guys miniaturizing everything and keep smiling, and I keep making Rob's life harder and harder, asking him to pack twice as many components in half the size of the board. I think that's energy, power management, wireless communication. All these challenges are going to get even more exasperated with miniaturization.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think we've seen. You would think electronics assembly is, and has been kind of a sleepy industry for a lot of years, but it's changing rapidly, and we keep looking at what's happening in the smallest handheld stuff. The handheld industry, cell phones, and all the other things that are out there now that what are just normal parts of our everyday lives have a tremendous amount of good technology that can now go into these medical implantable devices, Bluetooth low energy, standard microprocessors that are made by the big fabs that don't cost very much now. And I think that's one of the things is kind of the systems integration level, that there's a lot of really good building blocks that someone could put together now into the next great implant device without having to reinvent the wheel and come up with custom ASICs and all these custom electronics. So I really think that's probably the next step. We'll see more of that.
Thank you. Hogan?
Yeah, I just want to end in line what we have heard also yesterday from Edward Chang on the discussion really towards the more the data coming out of the neural recordings, because that's being present more and more in the implantable domain, and we cannot rely on having wired solutions getting this data out. So having wireless solutions would have a stringent impact to what you do with this amount of data, because even if you're talking about a few channel recordings of the ECAPs or other let's say responses in the neural domain, you're having high data throughput needs for your implant, and then having solutions that would be able to process this data partially within an implant and partially outside of the implant, I think will be one of the biggest challenges coming up.
Thank you. And Garrett?
Yeah, I'll kind of stick to my lane of cybersecurity. So I think the biggest technological change that will be coming is once we have 1,000 perfect qubits for quantum computing, most encryption algorithms are broken. And most people aren't thinking about how I've got this device that's going to be on the market for 10 to 15 years. This cryptography that I put into it today might be fine today. It won't be fine in 5 or 10 years. But there are things that you can do about it today, or at least to future-proof that. The other things that I think are really exciting on like a technological side are wafer technology is getting a lot smaller. I think that could be replacing some of the common processors that we are using today. Bluetooth just released version 6.2 of the spec, and they have put in some really amazing ultra low latency technology that's really exciting. Ultra wideband is also getting really exciting. So just to reiterate that, I think getting smaller, but having more throughput. But then on the other hand, where you said Moore's law, Eroom's law, so the smaller you get, now you have to run more and more cryptography, which is not an easy resource to consume within a small electronic device. So you're going to also have to deal with that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Garrett, and thank you, panelists. I think this was an excellent session.